This is Idea Sheet Video Episode 7 and 8. I'm going to combine these two together because both pages showed the trees, but I'm going to give you a few hints and tricks on how I lay things out, how I put things on the bottom, reminding you to turn it sideways and use it as a branch. So I'm just going to play around with the tree a little bit. You can look at the idea sheets and see different ideas for decorating the tree. Okay. First thing is how to get the base on the bottom of the tree. There's two ways to do it. There is masking, which I'm going to put the jar. Let me turn this way so you can see it. So there's my jar. And then I'm going to cover up my jar. And this stamp is larger than the ink pad, so I'm just going to ink it up, and I will probably get ink on the wood. Usually do. I am going to leave the top edge of my jar exposed just so I can kind of see where to put the stamp. Let's see if I get it right. Oh. And if you get the edge of your stamp like I did right there, I just over inked it a little bit. You can clean it off, re-stamp it. For this purpose, I'm not going to worry about it because I'll actually cover it up with little things. So that's one way to get the image on a base or in a base. Another way, which is the way I actually prefer to do, is to take my stamp and stamp it down. And see, that time I stamped it and didn't get the edge. I was a little more careful. And then I take the image and I cut it out and place it over it. Now sometimes the base isn't as wide as the tree base. In that case, I would cut something else out and cover up what's sticking out. And the reason the idea sheet with the umbrellas, those two little umbrellas on the side, are actually glued down over the jar to make it look like they're laying there, but they cover up just a little bit of the base. Like I said, that's the way I prefer, because then I can lengthen it. I don't always get it in the center when I try to mask. And then you would just glue that down, or you could make it dimensional, put a little bit of double stick. Another thing is how to get an image in the center of the tree like that. You could mask it, which I will admit is kind of a pain. Okay, to get the image in the center, you wouldn't stamp it now because you would end up with the branch in the middle. You would have to either stamp it down and try to figure out where the tree is on it, and to be honest, you're probably going to drive yourself a little bit crazy doing that. So I'm going to take it, stamp it down. And yes, this involves a little bit of fussy cutting. We have some dies, but not for things like the toilet paper. But I don't even worry about getting in all the little gaps, because when I color it, you don't always see the little extra bits. Okay, so there's my toilet paper. So then I would place it on the branch and it covers it up. Now when you're laying the tree out and putting things on the tree, I kind of think triangle. So I'm going to take the toilet paper. We'll make this toilet paper in a jar. So I'm going to put one at the top and then off to the side, and then I would have one in the middle. And it doesn't always have to be upright. But I think triangle, and then I'm actually going to have one down there. Okay, is laying next to it. You could even have toilet paper in your jar. And then this one would be glued on there. And just to make it a little more fun and make it look like the tree is coming through the toilet paper, take a fine line pen and make it look like your toilet paper's been skewered on the tree. But you need to have a little bit of balance. Right now, all the images on there are the same size, so I like to take a stick, in this case a little fly, and have a small image to balance it. And I also have light versus dark. You can have one sitting on the jar. So that's how I lay the tree out. I think triangle. In this case, I might want to put one over here. A lot of times I will practice first before I put it on my card because I want to balance it, make sure it looks correct. And I've also found that if you're sitting with the stamp in your hand and you're trying to determine where to put it and it takes you longer than 10 seconds to figure out where to put it, you probably don't need it because the instant you stamp it down it will be one too many. So that's just one of those things I've kind of figured out. So that's your toilet paper tree. Now when you're stamping, we'll just pretend this is my nice even card. When you're stamping it as a branch, such as right here and right there, it's very simple. You don't have to worry about masking any of the bases or anything like that. Simply stamp it down. And then have it filled as much as you want. Now this one I did cut out a lot of the flowers and actually glued them over the top, and they're dimensional. The little flowers on the branches are this little leaf. Let me take this away so it's a little less confusing. You can stamp these down and create leaves on your tree. And then you would add your flowers. So you can see on these ideas we have the toilet paper with the fun stuff, this bear one, which if you color him grays like you saw on the pail earlier, you could have a polar bear and put little ice cubes and things, or little penguins and polar bears all over your tree. You have your flowers, the rocks. Rocks are easy to actually mask. That one I do mask quite a bit, or we have a die that you can cut out and pop the rocks off there. And this one's all the sticks on the tree, but you balance it with the stubbies at the bottom. Get sideways, and this one's kind of fun because we have the dots going through it, and I wanted to show you another fun idea with the dots. So let me move this. This is the dot row versus the dot stubby. You can take this dot row and it makes a really neat scrapbook border very simply. Turn my page just so I have room to stamp off. And I'm going to make this a rainbow scrapbook border. Now you wouldn't take your dots and stamp this way in your rainbow pad because you would drag the dark up into the light. What you're going to do is turn your stamp this way, or your stamp pad, and stay in one color pattern. So I can have multiple colors. I just have to stay in the same color family. Clean it off. Move down a color family and actually do that. I'm going to clean it off and turn my stamp around the other direction so my loops are different. And down into the greens. And then you can take a little stamp. This is the little tiny stick star. One there. And some green ones. And that's a fun border for a scrapbook page or a birthday page, things like that. Now the reason I did that with the line is fun for that. It's fun to use here, but you can also take that line, stamp it in a frame, stamp it in a corner, and do the same principle with the trees. And make it a frame of all seasons or a corner of all seasons and change it up by just using this line instead of the tree. And I wanted to show you one more fun thing, a little bit quirky maybe for that unique person or guy in your life, using some of the stamps that are on the trees. It's the toilet paper and the plunger. You gotta have a little fun sometimes. Close up my ink pad. I'm going to take my little plunger, stamp it 5 times, maybe 6, no, 5 times. And then I'm going to take my toilet paper and then I'm going to grab my toilet paper stubby. And do that. And we're just going to throw some color on here really quick. A little bit of gray. Okay. This is a soft teal. Again, you can see I don't take tons of time to color because you don't want to spend hours on a card if you don't have to. Do that. And I always check to make sure I got the right marker, or I try to remember to check that I got the right marker. The one time I don't check is the time I don't have the right lid on the right marker. That soft brown, darker brown, nice orange plunger. Tap my orange to my red to get the blending. Take my soft gray, add my shadows, and I'll take one other thing. Take this fuzzy flower top and my hunter green ink pad. And then take my green marker. Like I said, this is getting a little carried away, but why not end on something a little unique, wild, crazy, and fun. A little bit of blue. And then the last step are your dots in blue. And there you go, from toilet paper tree to all seasons to wreath of toilet paper for all seasons for your potty trainers, your plumbers, your dads, your moms that are fishing socks out of toilets. Make them chuckle. Thanks for watching this episode of our Idea Sheet instructional videos. Be sure to go to our website at stampsbyjudith.com and check out other cards, ideas, and videos and see what else you can create with what you have of our images. Thanks!